This weapon has never been nerfed and has been buffed multiple times, and still no one uses it, and that's not a good sign. The Squeezer has 2 firing modes. Its first bullet is long range and very accurate, then all subsequent shots are short range. Here's a demo. It's pretty fitting that the weapon is modeled after a bottle of alcohol, because this weapon shoots the same way I take shots at the bar. The first one is like, yeah, that was great, more of those. And then all the other ones after that are like, oh god, this was a mistake. The short range firing mode is terrible. It's like a Splatoon-matic, but somehow even worse. It's okay at covering ground, but it's really bad at shooting whatever you're actually pointing at. Plus, the weapon goes from a 3-shot kill to a 4-shot kill in the short-range mode. So this may lead you to think, okay, I won't hold down the trigger, I'll just use the long-range tap-fire mode. Which, I mean, you can do alright with that, but why would you want to? Whereas with most shooters in this game, you point, aim, and shoot. With the Squeezer, it feels like you have to individually aim every individual bullet, not to mention the wear and tear that the tap-fire mode is going to have when you're going ham on the right trigger. That poor Pro controller. It has slightly longer range than the Splattershot Pro in 96 cal, but it's way harder to use. And it's a weapon that can't hit anything up close, and one of the shooter class's biggest strengths is their adaptability. If someone gets up close, the short range mode is probably gonna miss, and unless you have ridiculous reflexes, the tap fire mode isn't effective on someone who knows how to strafe, or against dualies who are rolling around at the speed of round. You might as well just give up. So the optimal play with the Squeezer might be to only ever use the tap shots, keep opponents at the edge of your range, and just never engage up close. But if you want to play like a little bit long-range specialist, then you might as well just play the Jet Squelcher, which even outranges the Squeezer's long-range mode and is much easier to use. The Squeezer is just an anomaly. It's like you have 2 halves of 2 different things. You've got a short-range fire mode that's pretty good at covering ground, but just shoots whatever it wants. And you've got a long-range mode that's pretty accurate, but consumes a lot of ink, and isn't worth the difficulty of using. It's like you have half of a taco and half of a burrito. You put them together and what do you have? The runs! That's what you have, and that's what the Squeezer is. A mess. So despite everything I just said, you still decide to use the Squeezer. Great decision, maybe. It has more range than the Splattershot Pro, and also potentially a faster kill time, depending on how fast you can press the trigger. Think of the Squeezer like the H3 nozzle nose, where you can get a quick kill if you can land the 3 shots, but with the Squeezer you just have to press the trigger 3 times yourself, instead of it coming out in a burst fire. So why wouldn't you just use the H3? Anyway, this triple shot is the only thing the Squeezer is good at. I call it the pep pep pep. If you can consistently land the pep pep pep, you'll be a pro with the Squeezer. This weapon is perfect for people who are really good at aiming. Hit or miss. The Squeezer can never miss. So with that, I'd like to end this video right here. I think we all know that I am not qualified to talk about a weapon that requires actual aiming. The clip you just saw took me about 50 tries, and I had to speed up the footage just to make it work. So be sure to smash that like button, comment, and subscribe! Okay, I'll actually try. But with all the things you have to deal with in Splatoon 2, do you really want to rely on a weapon that actually requires really good aiming to get mediocre returns? Even if you're like me and using a wired connection, you still got people teleporting all over the place. You got people who are in like 3 different locations at the same time. How am I supposed to shoot that? I'm looking right at it and I don't know where it is. And then you got people in League Battle, DDoS attacking the other team so that some of them disconnect and lose, which like, wow, you're a horrible person if you resort to cheating in a children's video game. And then you got people just dabbing after a respawn. And you got tower control just straight up breaking right when your team is all set to make your big last stand overtime comeback, and the tower just refuses to move for like 4 actual real life minutes. And then some of the other team disconnects because they get tired of waiting, and then the tower finally starts moving again, and you're like, yeah, now's my chance. And then you still end up losing? Speaking of which, you gotta go up against the nightmare that is the Kansas sloshing machine, the nightmare that was the ballpoint splatling, the nightmare of blasters missing their shots and still killing you, the nightmare of somehow every roller being kind of laggy, and also the nightmare that is solo clam blitz where it's just like, here, take my clams, make the power clam. Actually, you know what? Give me a clam. I'll make the power clam. No, okay, so you're gonna make the clam? Alright, cool. Wait, are you gonna give me the clams or are you gonna take the clams? Okay, no, give me the clam, Alright, let's go. Yeah. Oh, god dang it! And then you have the nightmare of my dumbass possibly being on your team in clams, where there's a 50% chance I'm gonna super jump to the right person and dunk in the football to take the lead, but then there's the other 50% chance of me accidentally picking the wrong target and jumping back to spawn in overtime and losing the match for our team. My bad, guys. And after all that, you wanna use this butt weapon that requires you to aim real good? Alright, let's do this. The key to using the squeezer is to maximize your mastery of using over the magnificent firing mode methods. And by that I mean, don't use the short range one. Did you not just watch what I said earlier in the video? Okay, that's not completely true. You can use the short range mode to quickly paint the floor right in front of you, then swim through it, and that's it. Don't use it to attack anyone, trust me, you'll miss. A lot. So almost all the time, you're gonna want to be using that long range mode. And this is kind of a backward shooter, and that it's better at long range than close range, and ideally you want to keep your targets between 60% and 90% of your range. If someone tries to get up close, you can either start aiming better, or just run away! Get out of there! Actually, wait, I found another use for the short range mode, maybe. You might be able to bait people in by firing the short range mode and then hit them with a quick 3. It's just like,
don't mind me, I am just pathetic little squeezer. My range is so short.
ha! You thought! With the slosher, you want to double tap. With the squeezer, you want to triple tap. Hit him with a quick 3 taps to the trigger, and you're going to be popping them bottles like you're popping them cherries. Nope, never mind, that's not what that means. So like the ink brush or octo brush, it's a weapon where you gotta go crazy on the trigger. The squeezer's fire rate is as fast as you can press ZR. Well, technically it has a max fire rate of like 7 or 8 shots per second, but I mean, I can't do that. That's ridiculous. It's like the piano solo from that one song from Final Fantasy 15. But something that happens to me sometimes is that if I press it too hard or too fast, then the Pro Controller starts to shake a little bit and slightly moves the aiming reticle, so don't do that. I find it actually happens slightly less if you're using the Joy-Cons, which a weapon that does better with Joy-Cons than Pro Controller is odd. But regardless of what controller you're using, I don't know about you, but I can't sustain the tap-tap-taparoo shots going 5 or 6 shots per second for an entire 3 to 5 minute match plus overtime, let alone multiple matches in a row. So there are multiple different ways to hold the controller to optimize the balance between shot output and finger endurance, and sometimes I find myself alternating between them. There's the classic hold, which works pretty well, but in general with the squeezer, I personally use a modified version of this grip where I shift my hand up on the controller so that I'm pressing the trigger with the base of my finger instead of a point to make it easier to press repeatedly. But you also have the tap dance, the spicy meatball, the pleasured girlfriend, the bruiser, the abuser, the iPad, the crossbow training, the wave dash, the throwback, and the clash blaster. So pick whichever one works for you. When it comes to picking between the Andre and Prosecco squeezers, it comes down to taste and playstyle. Basic is good for being defensive, hanging back, and playing on the edge of your range, and foil is good for offense and more mid-range playing. You know, closer, but still not too close. For the regular squeezer, you can hide behind splash walls and start using the long range mode from a safe distance, or throw the wall and then immediately use Stingray from a safe spot, like the little bit long range extraordinaire that you are! And the foil squeezer, which is the one that I prefer, though it's honestly a fastest of 2 turtles situation if you know what I mean. You're much more versatile and have more options. With Bubble Blower, you can hang out near the bubbles on defense and pop the bubbles on the other team on offense. You can hang out inside the bubbles and clams to sort of safely throw in some clams. In fact, if you use the shoe's ability Object Shredder, then a single Splat Bomb impact is enough to detonate an untouched bubble. And if all else fails, then you can play this weapon like I do. Realize that the main weapon is garbage, stack a whole bunch of Ink Saver sub, and congratulations, you're a Splat Bomb main now.
Everybody get up, it's time to slam now. We got the real jam going down. Welcome to the Space Jam. Here's your chance, do your dance at the Space Jam. Alright.
I mean, for either one, you can't go wrong with swim speed, I guess. Assuming you're mostly using the tap shots, which you should be. They consume a lot of ink, so Ink Saver main can also be good, but isn't necessarily required. Special Power can help out both specials on either squeezer, and maybe consider using some quick respawn because, well, you'll find out why. Special Charge can be good on the classic squeezer if you're into Stingray spam, and for the foil squeezer, Subsaver and Object Shredder are good options. That's all I got, guys. Remember that drinking under the legal age of whatever region you live in is against the law, and if you are of legal age, then drink responsibly. Now here's some clips of me playing like I just chugged 12 bottles of champagne. I'm acting super uncharacteristically and a little bit bubbly, and I'm actually almost doing okay with the squeezer.